Ball State Sports Link's third down chirp is delivered by Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. Visit papajohns.com today for more info.
Greetings and welcome to the fourth third down chirp. We're back in the studio. I'm Kyle Binder, Pat Boylan and Chris Renkel as usual. And I'm only 21 here, but I think I got a couple more gray hairs from the game on Saturday.
Yeah, the heartbeat pumping a little bit, but hey, the big thing, got the W.
Yeah, and those close games, they're a lot of fun to watch, so in the end, I had a good time.
All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from the game. Charlie Cardinal there. Not the most desired amount of people in the stands, but they were sure loud. Buffalo, though, had the ball. They're going for it on fourth down on the first drive. Trick play. Wide receiver Marcus Rivers lost it up to Terrell Jackson, and they get on the board first. Cards had a decent first drive, but a 42-yard field goal from Steven Schott goes off the post. No good. But in the second quarter, the Cardinals had things going. Ball State on the drive, 8 yards out. Jawan Edwards with the carry, pinballing his way into the end zone as the Cardinals take the lead. And then just 5 minutes to go, or into the second quarter, and then 5 minutes to go. Briggs Orsbon catches the pass, gets both feet in bounds as the Cardinals really rolling. And then they're not done yet. With under a minute to go, Keith Winning hands it off, and Jawan Edwards takes it in. He had 212 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game, 21-7 at the half for the Cardinals. They had plenty of momentum, but they come out a little flat in the second half. Another missed field goal and a punt block led to this Oliver run. Brandon Oliver getting into the end zone from 10 yards out. Meanwhile, the Bulls still running free in the fourth. Chaz Anderson keeps it himself, puts Buffalo up 18 unanswered points, but the Cardinals will have one last chance.
2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Keith will take the snap, drops the throw, looks, throws to the end zone. Caught Willie Snead, touchdown Cardinals! Willie Snead on a slant route scores, and it's Ball State 27, Buffalo 25. How about a big catch for your first career touchdown as a Cardinal? Willie Snead, hopefully many more to come, but that was a big one.
So Ball State pulls out a nail-biting win, 28-25. Those extra point stops proved to be the difference in the game. And when you look at the stats, what sticks out in your mind, Pat?
For me, it's another great day from Keith Winning. 24 for 36, 226 yards throwing the football. That's a career high. 2 touchdowns, and most notably, no INTs on the end of that.
How about Jamil Smith? 6 receptions, 50 yards, made some big catches down the stretch on that last scoring drive. Good to see Jamil getting into the offense.
And also the senior Briggs Orsbon getting his first touchdown of the year with 3 receptions. Keith Winning reflects on that final drive after the game.
Had to score, so, it was all or nothing on that. We had 2 fourth down. They were big plays. Give credit to the line and the running backs making the blocks when we needed it. So, just went out there and, made the plays when they were presented.
Well, we saw on the stat sheet the game that Jawan Edwards had, only his 3rd game with the Cardinals. How impressive has he been?
Extremely impressive, Kyle. 120 yards on 5.1 yards per carry, and that includes a negative 8-yard run where the offensive line broke down for a play. That's pretty special for a freshman. You saw it in the highlights just a moment ago. That first touchdown run, plows over 1 defender, then sidesteps 2 on his way to score. What impresses me the most about this guy is his quick feet. Yeah, he's powerful. Yeah, he adds on a yard or 2 every time he's hit. But when he needs to, he's got some pretty quick feet and makes a lot of plays, Chris, that most running backs can't make.
What I love about this kid is his hard-nosed mentality. He's going after the defense, and while that will get you an extra couple of yards, it wears out the defense. We saw at the end of the second half, Buffalo just had no answer for him, and they kept getting worn down. Ball State able to score a couple extra times before that half. Just his mentality and his workhorse kind of running, that really says a lot for a freshman.
And you look at all of his longer runs, it had a lot to do with the holes that he had created by that offensive line. All right, the special teams never gets talked about very much, but they're talked about after this game, good and bad.
Unfortunately, Kyle, I think there was a little bit more bad than there was good. And this is a position that Ball State's usually better than their opponents at, and really coming in was supposed to be a big advantage against Buffalo, and it wasn't. You had 2 missed field goals from Steven Schott right there, one of these right off the post, so a tough break there. But you get those 2 field goals, and you feel like maybe that game's not even close. You go up 27-7, maybe completely put Buffalo away. Then you had the blocked punt, which was a huge momentum shift. But, Chris, it wasn't all bad with the special teams.
Yeah, you look at the returning game. Briggs Orsbon, 142 yards total. That's someone that you and I saw, Briggs as a returner. It was a little questionable, but he's doing a phenomenal job at the kick return spot. Jamil Smith as a punt returner was one or two guys from breaking some long punts there. So the return game really stepping up for the Cardinals.
Hopefully we'll see more of the blocked kicks instead of getting blocked in the future. Also, the Cardinals up 21-7, and they get the ball out of the half, and they miss a field goal. And it just seems like the whole third quarter they fell asleep. What happened to them?
They just looked lethargic in that third quarter. And unfortunately, I don't think this team knows how to play with a big lead. They had a 28-7 lead against Eastern Michigan last season, a game they went on to lose. You look at the Toledo game. Ball State goes up 17-0 at Toledo last year, a game they also lose. They go up in this game 21-7, and they need a late drive to come back and win this game. That's something that Coach Lembo is trying to get turned around, but unfortunately, those late drives by Buffalo were all too reminiscent of last year's team, and something that Coach Lembo in the long run, I think, really hopes to turn around.
It's all a mentality once you get to the fourth quarter. You got to put teams away while you have a chance. Ball State, just as you said, not used to playing with a lead. They got to keep their foot on the gas pedal and put the teams away early. The two missed field goals really hurt, but Ball State offensively needs to be able to score in the second half, even though they have a lead, and that just demoralizes your opponent when you put them away by 3 scores or more.
I think it's good, though, that a team this young for the Cardinals with a new coaching staff goes through a little adversity to be able to succeed in the future. And they were caught in an awkward position with a conference game, only their third game into the year, but they still snuck away with one, so that is definitely a positive. All right, let's check out other scores from around the MAC, sponsored by Fox College Sports. We'll start on the west side. Boise State over Toledo. Toledo, a short week on top of just playing another top 10 team.
And they had 2 turnovers in the red zone. You're not going to beat a top 5 team in the nation doing things like that.
And then Western Michigan, big over Central Michigan. Western Michigan has looked pretty good, but I didn't think Central Michigan was looking too bad early on this season either.
Well, Western Michigan in this one, it's a rivalry game. They were playing on a whole nother level. They look really good.
Wisconsin up big over Northern Illinois. This Wisconsin team could, for all intent and purposes, make it to the national championship if they play like this. That's a very good Northern Illinois team.
And it's tough to figure out exactly where Northern Illinois is. A good win against Army, but their last 2 weeks haven't looked quite as good.
Penn State squeaks by Temple. Temple will be here a couple weeks for homecoming.
Yeah, that score really doesn't say all that game was. Temple led the entire way. Penn State just got lucky late.
Wyoming squeaks by Bowling Green, and they've done it a couple times at BG.
They have, and 2 similar opponents. It would have been nice to get a MAC win in that close game.
Minnesota over Miami of Ohio. The Redhawks not looking as strong as we thought they might after winning the MAC championship last year.
No, this is a struggling Minnesota team that just beat Miami of Ohio. They got a lot of questions going into MAC play.
So far, you have heard plenty of assistant coaches mic'd up this year in practice, but last Saturday, SportsLink mic'd up head coach Pete Lembo during the warm-ups right before the game.
Here we go. Feeling good? Good to have you back to 100%, right? Feeling good, Scotty? Willie, good luck tonight. You ready to roll, babe? All right, let's have a good one. Thataway, 38. That's the way to think on your feet right there, 38. Nice job. Zane, just have a base with your feet. You know, I don't want to catch it crossed over. High and tight, right, 33? All right. Keep the tip up, Armand. Keep the tip up when you run with it, right? That's not how he was doing it on film, was he? Yeah. As soon as that first whistle blows, it won't make a difference, right? We'll communicate it. You're even better looking in person in your picture. I'm mic'd up right now, so hopefully they'll edit out the Buffalo jargon. Ready to pop some helmets around, right? Make some plays tonight, right? Get it done. You know your job. Just do your job, okay? So we're really trying to, as a young team, trying to get these younger players to learn, from every opportunity we get. And I feel like if they got to go through the warm-up and they got to be dressed, you want to be a part of it, be here. You can be a part of it. Ball's on the 25. Be a straight line across the 40. Twos are on deck. Twos are on deck. Twos are on deck. 60 minutes, right? Not 45, not 30, 60 minutes. Every play you're in there, right? Every play. Hey, It's not a walkthrough. Set your pads. Let's go. Set your pads. Keith, we just called red, and Cooper's feet were backwards. They were like this. Right? Just tell him to balance up so we can open his hip and go. Shane, make sure you run the ball back. Shane, run the ball back, right? End zone after this play. End zone after this play. End zone after this play. To your coaches, to your coaches, to your coaches. Here we go, here we go, here we go.
Well, unfortunately for the Cardinals, the win didn't come without casualties. Craig Hunter and Austin Holtz were injured on the offensive line, but Hunter would come back and return and play. Jack Tomlinson offensively was gimpy at times and didn't play much in the second half. Defensively, Nathan Ollie, Quentin Cooper, and Jason Pinkston all went down with injuries. Ollie would come back into the game, though, but just one of those things where it was just like, oh, another injury. When it rains, it pours.
Which is amazing because you play a Big Ten opponent, came out pretty healthy. You played a Big East opponent, came out pretty healthy. Then you play a MAC school and you're dropping like flies. And last year the offensive line really got hurt, banged up early in the season, and it really set the Cardinals back. Had to move a lot of guys out of position. And then, the young quarterback, it really, put the season at a loss really early. And you hope that's not happening again. Austin Holtz will not play this week. Craig Hunter, you see him right there. Hopefully he should. He came back in that game late, and in that touchdown drive late in that game, Craig Hunter was playing. So hopefully they can get that turned around. But on the defensive side of the ball, Chris, there's some injuries too.
You look at Quentin Cooper out 4 weeks, it looks like. Jason Pinkston is doubtful for this game. The one spot that Coach Lumbo said he wished he had a lot more depth at was the cornerback position, and now it looks like they're down to their second, third stringers. Luckily, they get a little bit of a break. Army's a team who likes to run it a lot, and hopefully it'll kind of be an off week for the Cardinals.
And let's talk about Jack Tomlinson a little bit. Obviously, not the year that we expected him to have, but also the injury has plagued him a bit.
And Coach Lembo talked about this, and he said we have to get Jack Tomlinson the ball more. But like you mentioned, he also brought up the fact that he's had these nagging hamstring injuries. But you look at his stats last year. Against Akron, 175 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game. He is a big play receiver. I think they need to get him down the field more. At 5'9", you don't typically think of a guy like that as a down-the-field threat. But Jack Tomlinson has a really good knack of finding holes in zone defenses. And we all know he can beat his man one-on-one. I think they need to get Jack 15, 20 yards down the field. 16.7 yards a catch last year. That number needs to go up.
Yeah, 5.2 yards per catch this year. Not only will that help Tomlinson get more stats, that'll open up the offense a lot more. Right now they're kind of congested, getting 3-4 yards a play. You put in Tomlinson, put him downfield, blow the top off of the defense. It's going to open up the playbook for the running game, the rest of the receivers. It's going to help the team as a whole.
And it's just too bad, too, because a hamstring is such a touchy injury, and he could be out for so long if it's not healed all the way. So cross your fingers for Jack Tomlinson and the rest of the Cardinals. Well, the D-line has been a very surprising bright point this season, top 50 in the country in sacks per game through 3 weeks. He's one of 3 seniors on the line and a second-year starter, and it's time to meet Andrew Putoff.
I grew up in a little small town, and it's called St. Henry, Ohio. About 2,200 people. I graduated with 99, so very small community, but also comes with great football tradition. Going into my senior year, I started getting some looks, mainly all MAC schools, basically in Ohio. It came down to here in Miami, and then Ball State ended up recruiting me the hardest. Coach Hoke showed a lot of interest, made that visit to my home, which was big, and that pretty much made my decision pretty easy. I'm definitely happy with my decision. Obviously it doesn't always go the way it's planned, but I've made the best of my opportunities, I think, and I've definitely enjoyed Ball State, and hopefully I will continue to here for this next year. Being a senior, and obviously we have to take ownership. Being here for 5 years and showing those younger guys the ropes and what's expected here at Ball State and what's been the tradition, and that's definitely part of our role. It's just playing defense in general. It's one sport where you get to hit people and you don't get in trouble for it. So you gotta love playing defense. I'm a superstitious kind of guy, so I'll start off a game with a routine, and obviously if the outcome is a win, then obviously I'll stick with that. That was more earlier in my career, but now I don't have too many rituals anymore. I just just kind of get ready and see what happens. I will have a major in health science and a minor in counseling psychology, so I'd like to get in the health field. It's what I enjoy doing, and so hopefully that'll all work out.
It's time for my favorite segment of the show, What's Chirpin'? What about you guys? Your favorite segment?
Nice to hear from the community and maybe get a chance to answer their question on the show.
Free pizza, not a bad deal.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you want a free pizza, tweet at Third Down Chirp. You can get a pizza from Papa John's or email thirddownchirp@gmail.com. And this week's question comes from Masak right here in Muncie, Indiana. He asks, how impressive has Keith Wenning been? 14 interceptions last year, 0 so far this year. Very observational of you, Masak.
Yeah, and that's the exact stat that I really look at that's really shown how he's grown from his freshman year to his sophomore year. Last year, those 14 INTs, that's over 1 per game. He started 11 games last year. This year, he hasn't had any in his first 3 games. And, everyone knows that Keith Wenning has the arm. You see him unleash it to Connor Ryan right there, but it's the accuracy that I think's really improved. And those quick 5, 10-yard routes that he completes more often than not now. 71 for 100. Throwing the football so far at 71%, a very good number no matter where you're playing. And the scary thing, guys, he's just a sophomore.
Well, you said he's just a sophomore, and what I really look at is his poise in the pocket. He's not as rushed this year as opposed to his freshman year. The game, I think, is kind of slowed down for him. He's comfortable. He understands the offense a lot better. He's making good decisions. None of his passes has even come close to interception, so he's going through his reads right quickly, and I'm really excited to see how he goes from his sophomore, junior, and then junior, senior.
Another big thing for him, he has been absolutely clutch in crunch time, like we saw the touchdown pass right there to Snead at the very end of the game. Cool, calm, and collected, and like you guys said, only a sophomore. Hey, time to move forward to this week. Ball State hosting Army for Family Weekend. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. on Saturday at Schumann Stadium. Army comes to Muncie after beating Northwestern for their first win of the season. The last time the two teams met was back in 2009 when the Cards suffered a 24-17 loss at West Point. Only 2 meetings between the two teams, but Ball State has still yet to post a win. However, Army hasn't even won a game since back-to-back games since last year, September 25th. Army features an option attack that averages 362 yards on the ground, which is second most in the country. And as always, SportsLink at practice this week, getting the players' thoughts on the challenges of this triple option.
I mean, when you're playing any team is disciplined, but especially these guys with all the directions people are going and all the things they try to get you to look at to fake you out. I think the main thing is just remaining calm and disciplined.
It's definitely a dogfight down in there. They do a lot of cutting. They play low. They play with great pad level. And they play football the same way that they do. They're representing our country when they're fighting for us. So it takes a lot out of you as a football player, but I think we're up for the challenge.
What is the offensive mindset for this game to keep, Army off the field? Because, as you know already, probably they control the clock for most of their games. What is the game plan for them to stay off the field?
Our game plan every game is just make first downs. We don't go into the game saying we need a big play here, we need a big play there. We're supposed to control the ball, make first downs, and we're going with the same mindset against Army.
We had a great atmosphere last Saturday, and I would expect the same, if not better, with Family Weekend here at the school this week. So it's going to be great. It's an honor to play them, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Just the fact that you get to play such the level of football that they do, people who are fighting for our country and things like that. It's kind of like a pleasure to play them at the end of the day. So it's always something you look forward to doing and getting after it. So
I think it's big for the non-conference schedule to come out in the non-conference 3-1 going into Oklahoma is a big thing, and if we can do that, then we're going to be good during the conference.
Well, it can't be overlooked, obviously. This rushing attack is something that the Cardinals haven't seen this year, and they probably won't the rest of the year. But how do they kind of combat that?
Well, back in 2009, Ball State played this exact same quarterback in Trent Steelman, but he's a lot better now. 360 yards rushing per game on the season. That's second in the nation. Just think about that. 360 yards running the football. Most teams don't get that throwing the football. Now, they don't throw it very much. Their quarterback, Steelman, just 8 for 22 with an INT, so Ball State's got to put those safeties up in the box. They're already doing that with Baker. I think you'll see Howard up closer in the box. But you have to play mistake-free assignment football. Stay in your gaps, because where Army really gets you is you get a guy out of position, they can take it for 15 to 20 yards on you.
Well, Pat, you said it. They got to play mistake-free football. The way the triple option works is the quarterback reads keys of what the defense is doing. Army runs it very well, so Ball State has to be cognizant of what Army is doing. They have to read their keys right, and you got to hit the quarterback every time. Even if he doesn't have the ball, you got to rattle him a little bit because Steelman has scored their last 6 touchdowns. You got to take the quarterback out, and you'll disrupt the option.
I think one of the most difficult things about stopping this offense is that you have to turn around and do this and scout it in a week when you have 20-odd hours of time with your team and you haven't trained for this at all. So I think that's the biggest thing, the preparation. We'll see how it pays off on Saturday. Also, with the rushing attack comes eating up a lot of clock time. How will the Cardinals, who have been very good at eating up the clock, going to combat that?
Well, but you kind of have to concede, in a way, the fact that Army's likely going to have the football longer than you are, and that's going to mean that every possession offensively, especially, is that much more important. You can't have periods of time like you did against the Buffalo game, or in the Buffalo game, where you're going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, because that just spells disaster for your defense. Even in the Northern Illinois game, where Army got pounded by Northern Illinois, they still held the time of possession advantage 33-27. So if they can do it in a game like that, they can do it pretty much anywhere.
Well, you look at this triple option, it's really not meant to be a big scoring, quick scoring kind of offense. Trailing after 3 quarters, Army is 0-10 in the past 3 years. Leading after 3 quarters, they're 11-3. So what Ball State's going to have to do, they're going to have to jump out to a lead, and they're going to have to keep scoring. Make Army throw the ball. And even if you don't win the time of possession battle, you're still going to win the scoreboard battle, which is what matters in the end.
Cardinals heading to this Army game, they're going to have their 3rd non-conference game this year. 1, a good win against Indiana. A loss to a top 25 team, which you probably expected. How big is this to keep the momentum of the non-conference schedule going when you know you're going to be playing Oklahoma?
Yeah, if you can be 3-1 at this point in the season, I think that's pretty much as good as anyone could have asked out of this team. You know, the IU game was kind of a coin flip. The game against Buffalo, a little bit of a coin flip. And this one, kind of looking like a coin flip, too. So if you could win all 3 of those close games, the South Florida, probably not winnable. So to be 3-1 at this point, plus the fact you're 3-1, you go 500 the rest of the season, you're 7-5, and you're likely looking a bowl game right in the face. It's too early to think about that, but to get 3-1 at this point in the season would be huge.
Well, even think about the resume of going bowling. You put a win against a good Army team who won a bowl last year, a much improved Army team. Now, opposed to a team like Buffalo who puts a win over Stony Brook, you see Ball State beating Army, beating Indiana. That's really going to boost their chances on a coin flip of going to a bowl, and it'll really give them a lot of confidence heading into MAC play.
Yeah, and you know the Oklahoma games will be a tough road trip, so you'd like a little bit of confidence going in with a win against Army. All right, players to watch this week. Go ahead, Pat. We'll start with you. Who are you taking as the player to watch for the Cardinals?
For me, it's Ball State's defensive tackle, Nathan Ollie. He's had a tremendous start to this season. He's tied for 7th in the nation with 3.5 sacks, and he leads all defensive tackles in the nation with those 3.5 sacks. He's had a great start, but now he really gets a test. He's probably not going to get a sack this week with Army only throwing the ball a handful of times, but he's going to be part of a tough run defense to stop. And the first part of that triple option is usually a handoff to the fullback, or at least a fake to the fullback. And when that goes right to the fullback, that's the defensive tackle's responsibility. He's going to have to be on his game, guys.
For me, it's got to be Keith Wenning. He's performed very well so far, but as I said before, this Army offense not built to come back from a deficit. Keith Wenning is going to have to spread the ball all around a lot. They're going to have to score through the air. They're going to have to make their possessions count. As you said, Pat, they can't not score for a long period of time because Army's going to come right back in the game. Keith Wenning is going to have the big game to put this Army team away.
I don't have exactly one player, but I have a few players that might be overlooked. That's Jeff Garrett, Armand Dehaney, and even Andre Dawson if he gets in the game like he did last week because of injury. Like you guys said, they're a running team, but when they throw the ball, it's definitely as like a surprise attack, so the Cardinals have to be ready for that cornerback-wise, especially when you have some backups. They might be attacking them like Buffalo did last week. All right, that's all the time that we have for this week, but don't forget, every Thursday at 3 online, and then also WIPB, Comcast, and Fox College Sports will be carrying Third Down Chirp. Also, follow us at Third Down Chirp on Twitter and also at BSU SportsLink. Remember, if you can't make it to the game, listen live to SportsLink Radio on 91.3 WCRD and WCRD.net. For Chris Renkel and Pat Boylan, I'm Kyle Binder. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.